Welcome back to the vlog, guys. So today going to go check some trail cameras and just kind of bring you guys along with me. This one I'm checking right now in particular. I'm going to go ahead and stop and talk to you just so I'm not making a whole bunch of noise. It is on a little piece of public that's kind of across from the road from a great big huge piece of public that I think gets overlooked a lot just because it's so small. But there's a real good thicket on the north side of it where it is actually private ground. But I found some nice sheds in this little patch of woods, and I've also seen some nice bucks. I killed my buck, actually just scored 151, just probably, I don't know, maybe 200 yards from where this camera is. A little farther than that, but anyways, on the same little block of land. So gonna go check this camera, see what I got, and hopefully there's a big buck living in here. There's a trail camera, and you can see here, it's right on the edge of the property line pretty much, but in there is the private ground that's really thick, nasty. And then this all over here is public ground. And there's a trail coming, out of there. There's a trail that comes down this way. And then there's one that goes from here over, and that is a private field that I can actually hunt. However, it didn't get planted this year, so it's going to be just one big CRP field. Ooh, 1,215 photos. I'd say a lot of them is of that limb right there, but they're worth going through. So still got full battery, just going to replace the cards and go back to the truck and look at it. You can see here that good trail that goes up, and then the camera is right there. Okay, hopefully this deer is on our camera, because that is a 4-finger track for sure. You can see my whole hand fits down in it. It's a big track. Here's something we're getting a lot of nowadays in Indiana, these darn bobcats. Guys, check this out. A picture of a little boy and his dad, and they got him a turkey. That's a cool picture. I wish I knew who that was and I could send it to him. Okay, here's a nice deer on that camera. I had a picture of him last year. He wasn't a shooter last year, but there it looks like he's a pretty nice deer. Got another nice deer. It's a different deer. Camera one, I think was a success. Had one shooter on there for sure, and then one that was not the best picture of him kind of walking away. Probably not a shooter, but good deer still. On to the next one. Oh, hey, I got a question for you guys. What is a good, affordable trail camera that will last more than one season? I've always kind of bought cheaper trail cameras just because, one, I like to run quite a few of them. And I'm thinking about kind of upgrading slowly, buying good ones here and there, and as my junk ones die on me, which happens frequently, it seems like that camera there. It started taking pictures, but they were blacked out, so couldn't really see much. Hopefully that buck was there more than that one time, but couldn't see any of the pictures because they were blacked out. It's frustrating. There's a deer right there. Okay, this spot, there's a real big deer living in, and I've gotten him on camera a few times, and I'm hoping that after checking the camera this time, I'll have a really good idea of if he is living where I think he is. So there's actually an old barn down here at the bottom of this ridge that is right behind a house of a guy that doesn't hunt or anything, and I think that big buck lives right behind that barn. We jumped him there one time last year, 2 years ago during early season. I did not see him last year, but this year I'm getting pictures of him again, and he looks to be much bigger. I'll show you guys a picture of him from 2 years ago, and then I'll show you a picture from this year. And I think I found his sheds last year also. So this year I found him from last year. I think he was living deeper into the public. So I don't know. We'll see. Just puzzle pieces you're trying to put together. So got one picture of a decent buck. Not the big one though. I don't think that's the big one either. I know that's not the big one, but another good buck picture. Definitely another decent buck on that trail camera. It wasn't the big one that I had on it last time, but still a nice one. I think I'm gonna have to go out here and do some shining and try to find where that big one is living at. A lot of options for it to be out in here, and it may have just happened to walk by my camera, you know, in a particular day. So got to do some more scouting. Probably not going to do much more boots on the ground scouting, just because it is August now. So don't want to disturb the deer much more than I already have. So on to the next camera. So I have never checked this camera this year. It's kind of in a new spot that I've never been before. So I'm either going to replace the card and leave it, or I will just grab the camera if there's not a lot of pictures on it. It's in a spot that I'm hoping it didn't get stolen. I didn't put it. I don't think I put it up in the tree or anything very high. So we'll see. Well, as I kind of had expected, I had a bad feeling about this camera, and it is gone forever. I'm kind of looking around here just to make sure I didn't have it mismarked on my Onyx, but the tree that I thought I put it in, it's not in there anymore. So what the heck do you guys do to prevent cameras from being stolen? I've never locked them up. Usually I'll take a climbing stick and put them up in the stand or up in the tree a little farther. That seems to help. I didn't do it with this particular one. I should have. But what are your thoughts? Yeah, that's why I get so conflicted on spending a lot of money on trail cameras, because one, positive about spending more money, you get better picture quality, which is nice. But then two, if you spend a couple $100s on a trail camera, stick it out here, and then someone steals it, it's a lot of money just to give to someone else, pretty much. So I don't know, gotta outweigh the pros and cons. Now I'm going to run up to my private ground and check a couple cameras I have out there. So they've been soaking for a long time also. See if there's anything good on those. So this is some of the private ground I can hunt, and usually this field right here, it goes for acres and acres and acres and acres back that way. None of that got planted this year. We had like the wettest spring on record in Indiana here. The field over here behind me, another one that we usually gets planted, did not get planted this year. So I usually have a trail camera right there. I don't think I do this year. We'll just go check real quick to make sure. By golly, I was wrong. I had one here. It's like a nice bed, really, almost underneath my trail camera. So we'll go back in here. Looks like maybe a bed here, a bed here. Oh, more beds all through here. Looks like a group of does is probably staying in here. Oh, on this farm, there should be a nice, last year he was a nice 9-pointer that did make it through season. I saw him in January and got a picture of him on trail camera, so cross our fingers and hope he's back in here. Check out this big old bed. Looking right at where we used to park at all the time. We parked right there at that spot for probably since my grandpa was hunting back in the day, probably 40 years. And last year I finally started parking in a different spot and coming in a different way, and honestly saw more deer last year than I've ever seen out in this spot. So I don't know, there are probably other factors that would come into that, but interesting information. Oh, I've seen like probably 30 beds in this CRP field down this tree line right here. Seems like there's one every, I don't know, 20 yards or so. That's another big one. I don't know though, if sometimes an early season like that, if that isn't a doe and a fawn bedded together. You can see here's another one right here. Ouch. But that's kind of my theory, is it's probably a doe and her fawns laying here together. There's deer bedded down in this little finger, which there always is, and I just jumped them out of there. They ran up that hill, probably into those crop fields over there. So I have my camera sitting right here, and it's just a kind of a transition between the two CRP fields. And then there's another CRP way out in there. There's a finger on this CRP field that goes that way towards the crop fields that the deer seem to like to bed on this side of it. So, be interesting to see what's on this camera. Look how pretty it is out here, man. Can't beat it. Just wanted to show you guys some of the pictures we got today. No big giants, but a nice 10-pointer. Nice 8-pointer. It's a pretty good 9-pointer there. That's a definite shooter. That's him again, I think. And then there's a kind of a decent 8-pointer. Small 8. Another decent 8, not a shooter, but so there's some pretty good ones in there. No absolute giants, but there's still some fun ones that's going to be a good to chase up this year, and hopefully get them killed during bow season here. So see you guys on the next vlog.